Hello, in this video we're going to complete stage 4 of our the development of our UN Sustainability Goals site. And this is just to give us an understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and how they play together while making something that looks kind of cool. Alright, in our last video we ended up with each of the goals displayed in a flip box, and when we flipped it we had the statement of the goal and some question to make you think about it. And what we're going to do in this one is we're going to modify it so that it looks a little nicer on the page. There's all this real estate here we can make use of, and to do that we can use something called a Flexbox. This is a really standard tool to kind of make a couple elements look nice when you group them together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've made a new file called ungoalstep4.html, and I'm going to copy everything from the previous one and paste it in and come right up to the top here, and I'm going to make the title say 4, and sure enough, there it is. So it looks exactly the same as 3 now, and now we're going to do some modifications. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Flexbox tool. And one of the best place to grab this from right now is if you look for W3 schools and you look for the Flexbox example, you're going to get that. And this tells you all about Flexbox, some of the features you can do with it. You can do a lot more than what I'm showing you with this. And I'm actually going to pull some code from the second example. You could pull it from the first, but I recommend the second because otherwise you have to make a couple other modifications. So we're going to try it yourself. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take whatever we want inside this Flexbox division, we're going to give it the class called Flexbox. So let's do that. So essentially I want all 17 of these UN Sustainability Goal flip boxes inside my Flexbox. So I'm going to make a div and I'm going to call this class Flex Container. And then close that. And now let's highlight every one of these all the way to the bottom down here. There's a lot of them. And let's tab those in once and add our close div. And if we've done this correctly, what I should be able to do now is minimize this flex container, and then sure enough, everything gets contained. So what I've done is I've put everything inside that flex container. And let's see what effect that's had. So I'm going to come back over here to my goal, step 4, and I reload it. Nothing's happened. The reason why nothing's happened is because I haven't actually included the CSS to tell the browser what to do with that. And let's pull our CSS directly from here. So I'm going to come in here, and these are the two pieces of information that define the style for that flex container. So I'm going to copy the dot flex container, and the dot flex container is greater than div. And we'll talk about this shortly. So let's copy that. Let's go back, and now we're going to come up to our style section, and I'm going to stay inside the style section and paste those two pieces in. Now let's align those so they look nice. Let's give that a save. So now I have some style specifications to that flex container and this flex container div. And what this means here is this is saying any div which is a child of flex container. That means any div inside of flex container, I want you to apply these CSS pieces to them. Alright, so let's open up our browser again. We get this kind of look here. Alright, so it looks like we're on the right path here. And so what we want to do is we want to make a minor modification here. So we have our flex container here, and we're going to add what's called a flex wrap option. So I'm going to say flex wrap, and I'm going to make this wrap. And what that means is essentially I want you to place everything inside of here, but once you've used up all the screen real estate that's available, I want you to wrap to the next line. And let's see what happens. And there we go. So now we have all our UN sustainability goals on here, and notice as I change the size, it actually will adjust to put the number that work to make use of the screen real estate. But here's one thing I don't like. I don't like how this side I have a little bit more blue than on this side, and I would really like it if these two were centered. And this is where we can use the align content and justify content. And it's just a minor little change. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the flex container and I'm going to add these two lines. I'm going to add in the CSS align content center and justify content center. And by doing that, it says that basically anything inside this flex container is going to be aligned center and the content center. And let's take a look and see what happens. And there we go. And now this kind of looks a lot nicer than before, and it's making use of the screen real estate. You can play around with things with this. Oh, pardon me. Let's get rid of that. We could do things like, you'll notice I have this padding I can play with. So for example, if we look at this, you see how there's a little bit of, there's a white margin there. I can play with that a little bit if I want. What happens if I make this padding, say, 40? Let's save that and see what happens. So notice how I have larger amounts of padding around that. So you can set that what you want. Take a moment, as much as you're following along, make this your own. Maybe I want padding of 5 on there. Let's load that again. So now I get a lot smaller edging on there. It looks kind of nice. Now I've mentioned this once, but I just want to make sure I draw your attention to this. Let's just pull it over like that. Just the size. Notice the font on the back of these tabs has changed. And the reason why the font has changed is because of this CSS right here. Take the class Flex container, and then any div that is a child of the Flex container. So that means any div that is contained inside of this div. And then set the font size to 30 pixels. I hope that helped, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.